Welcome back, students of fitness, to another episode of the Liftology podcast. Rich and Joe back with you today. And today's topic I thought we could cover is pre-workouts. Some of the ingredients involved in them and what their intended purposes are, and some of the most popular pre-workouts and how those ingredients are in them. And Joe, you want to list off the ingredients we're going to go over and then just start us with the first one?
Sure. So the four main ingredients that we're going to cover today are caffeine, creatine, beta-alanine, and nitric oxide boosters, particularly citrulline. And just kind of, piggybacking off what you said, just seeing if it's something that's right for you as an individual. And I guess at the end we can kind of summarize and go over if pre-workouts are necessary.
Okay. So why don't we cover the ingredients in this order? Let's start with the nitric oxide boosters, right? The citrulline. Then from there we'll move on to the beta-alanine, creatine, close it out with the caffeine, and then just kind of
the best ingredient.
and then just roll it into those popular pre-workouts, and there you go. All right.
Sounds good.
So why don't you hit them with the numbers of citrulline? How much do we need, and what are the purposes for it?
Sure. So when you're reading a label on a pre-workout supplement, and you see citrulline, you'll probably see it one of two ways. It's L-histidine or citrulline malate.
Okay.
Citrulline malate just means citrulline with malic acid.
Okay. It's just the way they choose to produce the product.
Yeah.
It's not going to be
so
particularly it's noticeable either way, whichever one you're using, or
so
is there?
It's interesting because the dosing for L-citrulline is actually lower than the equivalent dose needed for citrulline malate, right?
Okay.
So I think the ratio is like 1.6 grams of citrulline malate to every 1 gram of citrulline.
Okay.
But with that being said, there may or may not be added benefits to malic acid. A lot of the studies that have been done on it so far were, animal testing, stuff like that.
Okay.
So the studies done on animals showed added benefits with malic acid. So
as opposed to
L-citrulline. Yeah. So if you're gonna take it, odds are citrulline malate is a better option.
Okay.
Maybe.
And that's what the proposed benefits of both of them, right?
Yeah.
Are significant effects are what, like decreased fatigue, right? That's one of them. Increased plasma, increased training volume, right?
Yeah.
Things like that.
Yeah. So the actual dosing you want to see for citrulline is a daily dose for L-citrulline is I've read anywhere from 6 to 8 grams.
Okay.
Some as low as 3 to 5 grams.
Okay.
The citrulline malate, obviously now it needs to be a little bit higher, so it'd be like 8 to 12 grams. Again, I've also seen some people say 6 to 8 grams.
Okay.
So I mean, it's a fairly large difference between those two.
Okay.
However,
as far as grammage.
Yeah.
Grammage. Let's coin that term, huh?
Yeah.
But they both are targeting those benefits that I'm just mentioning, right?
Yeah. And when we say nitric oxide, we're talking about nitric oxide is a compound that the body produces to relax blood vessels, right? Okay. So when blood vessels aren't as stiff, it's that pump, right? So it delivers more nutrients to the muscle while you're working out, oxygen.
Where you get that pump from?
It's the pump, right? It's essentially like anything that doesn't, any pre-workout worth its weight should have some kind of nitric oxide booster in it. Otherwise, what do you really getting from it?
And then depending on whatever their whoever's making it, you might not see it listed. You might see it as like a part of a quote unquote matrix or a whatever whatever other verbiage they use
Yeah.
to describe proprietary blends, which is just um a general idea of some of the stuff. So like a lot of times with a lot of these supplements, the right dosage matters. So when things are proprietary blends, don't get that number necessarily. You might,
Yeah.
you might not. You don't know. And in the realm of wanting to know everything that you're putting in your body for your workouts or your recovery, that's not going to cut it.
Yeah, definitely not. Especially because they use like in not all of them, but they use in those proprietary blends. They're kind of used to save money, so they use like carbohydrate filler
Mm-hmm.
and stuff to just make it more powder, essentially, right?
Yeah.
It's all just filler. It's not typically
It's like it gets all the stuff in there to fill that little scoop that you need to.
exactly. So typically avoiding stuff with too many proprietary blends or the stuff that just says, our max strength blend, our killer instinct blend,
the matrix
yeah,
thing,
stuff like that. Probably
the lift to omega status matrix.
Yeah. So another nitric oxide booster that you might see in what are we talking about? Pre-workouts is arginine.
Okay.
However, citrulline is actually better absorbed and actually leads to larger arginine plasma levels in the blood. So you're better off. So typically the pre-workout that uses arginine as a nitric oxide booster, not as efficient as something that has, say, citrulline malate.
Well, I think it's also important to note that arginine is in fact used as a nitric oxide booster. Like we just like dropped it in there. But but we used it because citrulline helps the body produce. So it's worth noting that since we're covering citrulline and another nitric oxide is arginine, it's not worth using just because of but you get it from citrulline anyway.
Yeah.
So it's just an added expense.
It's not even that it's not worth using. It's not so much that it's not worth using. It's more so that it's just not. Oddly enough, supplementing arginine to increase arginine isn't as efficient as supplementing citrulline to increase arginine. So,
no, makes total sense.
Yeah. So,
but so I mean, that's why when we talk about them being in the majority of pre-workouts, not necessarily in everyone. Some of them might use arginine, some of them might use citrulline, and that's kind of on you to do the homework.
Yeah,
to figure out like you got to read labels. We're trying to help provide you guys with the information, but at the end of the day, you got to take the information given and read the labels and figure out what works best for you.
Yeah. So with that being said, right now we're kind of just saying citrulline greater than arginine.
Yes.
Right. So that's typically like the first ingredient we're going to be looking for. Again, it's to get that pump, get the nutrients flowing to the muscles better, opening up the blood vessels,
vasodilation.
Yeah. The next ingredient that you want to look at is.
I know we discussed which way we're gonna go. So you have the pump from the nitric oxide boosters. Yes. That's what they market as.
Correct.
And then we're gonna go on to beta-alanine, which the marketable thing that they don't market it that way, but to anyone using pre-workouts, the thing that they use is the tingles that you get from beta-alanine, right?
Correct.
Let's cover the dosage first, and then talk about what the tingles you actually get from the beta-alanine is.
Yes.
Right? And an effective dose for it is anywhere from 2.4 grams to 4.8, right?
Yep.
And
so as far as that being like the effective dose, it varies from person to person. If you're not sure if you should be on that low end or that high end, a good starting point is 3.6, and just down the center there. So that's typically when you're reading a label again. 2.4 is the minimum. You're looking for something that is closer to that 3.6 or higher range.
Well, especially like you said, if you're just trying it out. Right? Yeah. If you have been working out for a while and you know your sensitivity, it might be closer to 4.8.
Yeah.
Or if you've been training and you know your sensitivity, it still could be 2.4. But that's just knowing how your body reacts to it.
Yeah. So, why do we need beta-alanine? We don't know if we actually do. But so typically beta-alanine combines with L-histidine, another amino acid, to create carnosine, which reduces muscle acidity.
Okay.
And by reducing muscle acidity, it's, in theory, we should be able to get more reps in.
Okay.
So muscle acidity is one of the things that leads to muscular fatigue. So if we can reduce the acidity, theoretically, we wouldn't fatigue as quickly.
Yeah, but on that point, carnosine's an actual ingredient they use themselves.
Yes, some pre-workouts will have carnosine. Yeah,
but why?
Mistake.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, that's what I was trying to allude to, right? Because you're saying the body takes beta-alanine and the L-histidine that we make ourselves, right?
So
and they combine the two to create the carnosine. Right?
Correct.
However, taking it introduces a whole nother step in the process, right?
Yeah, supplementing carnosine directly.
So the way our digestive process works is you ingest it, right? And throughout the digestive process, it breaks down into
beta-alanine and L-histidine.
And then it has to recombine.
Yes.
So it's just adding an extra step, an extra way to extract money out of your wallet.
Correct. So again, when reading the label, it might seem like supplementing directly with carnosine would be a better option. It actually isn't, for the reasons that you just mentioned. So typically you want to look for beta-alanine, really, the go-to.
If you're looking for it.
Yeah. And you don't need to supplement L-histidine. Your body creates tons of it. The thing that's lacking the most to create carnosine typically is the beta-alanine. With that being said, beta-alanine is something that needs to compound in our body, right? We need it daily, right? So we should be supplementing beta-alanine daily to increase the stores that we have, to be able to create carnosine at any given time. It actually doesn't matter when you take beta-alanine. So the fact that it's in a pre-workout supplement is irrelevant. It could be in a post-workout supplement. You can supplement it every morning if you wanted to, every night if you wanted to.
Similar to creatine, which we're going to cover next.
Correct.
But that's not what the whole beta-alanine is like used for, right? Well, we're going to circle it back to the tingles that you get, right? Which everyone's like, oh, it must be working. My energy's coming. Yeah, I got the tingles now, right? That's but why don't you go ahead and tell everybody why that the tingles isn't necessarily that you're getting the energy up and what it actually indicates.
So the tingling that you're feeling is actually called paresthesia.
Okay.
It is the beta-alanine is a neurotransmitter. And so it actually binds to nerve cells and it creates a nerve impulse. And
that's why you feel it everywhere, not like in a specific, because and the nervous system is incredible. I mean, everything in the way our body works is incredible in and of itself, but the speed at which
so one of the
signals go out in the nervous system.
One of the marketing ploys that I really dislike is this one really got my skin crawling. It's like, well, how much beta-alanine was it? 4.8 grams. Oh, okay. This one didn't do so much. Well, how much beta-alanine is in it? 2.8 grams. So it's like, well, you're getting more beta-alanine, therefore you're having a greater reaction to it.
Mm-hmm.
One thing about the reaction to beta-alanine is it actually never goes away. Right? I just said beta-alanine is a neurotransmitter.
Mm-hmm.
You should always feel that tingling sensation. If it goes away completely, there's a good chance there's no actual beta-alanine in what you're taking. So just keep that in mind. You should always feel that tingling sensation. If it's uncomfortable and you don't like it, there are things. Stop taking or reduce the dosage.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Because again, it's dosage dependent. If you take a lot of it, you get more skin crawls, and if you take a little bit of it, you get a little bit less. So
here's actually something I don't know if you know offhand. I don't know offhand, and if we can cover it at a later date would be great. Because it is a neurotransmitter and it sends everything through your neurons and everything, right? And lifting heavy, like really heavy, like this is a topic we cover at a future date, but how heavy deadlifts completely fry your central nervous system. Because like you heard of people like crashing after pre-workouts and their workouts sometimes, which I think some of it has to do with the caffeine, which we'll get to. But I wonder how much it has to do with your nerve system, just from like the paresthesia.
Yeah, it's a good point.
Yeah. I mean, we were getting ready to do this, and like that thought didn't even come to my head until like we just started talking.
Yeah, it's interesting. The problem with beta-alanine is in its increase in performance. So again, circling back to the fact that you get the tingles from it, which is essentially why it's in pre-workout. It just gives this illusion that it's working. I feel like it's similar to the foaming of toothpaste, right? That's like an added ingredient in toothpaste because people feel like the more it foams, the more it must be working. Not actually true.
I never thought of that.
Yeah. So I feel like beta-alanine is used for that because the information out there on beta-alanine as far as performance, enhancing your performance, it's not great. I mean, there was a study done. Endurance improved 2.85% when exercise spanned 1 to 4 minutes, and
you're not working out at a high intensity for 1 to 4 minutes. So the benefit that you get is moot because you wouldn't be doing that. And then that I've seen that there are strength benefits, right, in strength training, right, averaging 22% give or take on reps, and lifting about 18% more in total volume.
Yeah, so that was a specific study and we're going to link all our references in the summary, but the study found that the first, and I'd have to look back to see exactly what the time frame was, but there was almost no change. It's completely static for like the first 14 days of the trial, and it wasn't until the second half of the trial that they started seeing these increases, and it was because, as mentioned earlier, beta-alanine is something that we need to store over time for it to have any kind of result, for it to produce any kind of result.
So then, according like to that trial, then, like when you get into the nitty gritty of like what the numbers that you want, you start keeping track after 14 days.
Yeah,
give or take a few depending on the person. But like, I didn't read that study that you brought up. I'll have to take a look at it myself because I want to see what it says.
That's why if you really want to supplement beta-alanine, you should just be supplementing it daily.
Yeah.
Right. And again,
like I take creatine working out, and we'll get to that next. But like, it's also a cumulative thing. So taking it on days even when you're not working out is what you should be doing.
Yeah.
It's like it should be like a daily vitamin.
Yeah, which is why, as far as pre-workout goes, I don't think it's a great source of beta-alanine because are you taking your pre-workout daily? if you are taking it daily, there's a good chance that eventually you're becoming kind of immune to the effects of the caffeine in it. You're not getting that boost, that the same boost you were getting taking it 2 months ago. That's not there. So, are you taking pre-workout on days that you're not working out? It's a pre-workout. Are you taking it daily? If you're not, then you're not supplementing beta-alanine daily or creatine daily. Yeah. So
if your sources, look, we'll also talk about a few products that don't even have what you're supposed to get, period.
Yeah.
Let alone every day.
Yeah.
So, yeah, no, it's just so like, and then you're gonna say you're gonna take a pre-workout when you're not working out.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's like, now, could you take it maybe in place if you're someone who drinks coffee every day? Could you use your pre-workout as
a coffee,
the substitute for your caffeine intake? Again, then you're gonna develop the habitual use of it. It's gonna cause you to develop an immunity to its effect.
Yeah.
And then you're taking it to supplement beta-alanine. Just supplement beta-alanine.
Yeah.
Problem solved.
Yeah, and then for a lot of people, I know in today's day and age, a lot of people drinking coffee. Right? So if you're drinking coffee, you purchase beta-alanine on its own and purchase,
you have your pre-workout.
You don't need a pre-workout.
Yeah.
It's all there.
Yeah. So let's jump into creatine. Okay. Since we keep bringing it up.
Well, it's produced by our body, right, from amino acids, right?
Yep.
Made in the liver, and then some cases in the kidneys and the pancreas. What is the purpose of creatine? Right, it stores phosphate, high energy phosphate groups in the way of phosphocreatine. Right?
Yeah.
And then, how is phosphocreatine used?
So we actually touched on phosphocreatine in another episode, but essentially it's the substrate used to create quick energy, right? ATP. So when we say quick energy, it's like that first
20 to 30 seconds.
Realistically, like the strongest in like the first 10 seconds, but can be kind of stretched to like that first 30 seconds. So again, now one of the reasons why you'll see creatine and beta-alanine in a pre-workout is because now you have that range covered, right? So we took beta-alanine, typically that 1 to 4 minute, which for most single set exercises isn't really effective, right? Because a single set of anything doesn't really last.
I mean, unless you're specifically doing like a rep ranges where you're like, time under tension is like 3 seconds concentric, a 1 second hold, correct, 3 centric.
That yes.
Then you get towards
very specific. Well, I feel like
I know, but I just felt it was worth mentioning.
I totally get what you're saying, and what you're saying makes total sense. Which is why supplementing beta-alanine in a pre-workout is almost, I don't want to call it a filler, but it kind of is, like, because it's so task specific. It's like, I'm gonna do 2 sets of 30. Yeah. Then it might work, right?
Well, I mean, that's kind of my general feelings on pre-workouts in general. Are they just take a whole bunch of things that might work in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
Put them together and say, it's whatever you want it to be.
Yeah. Yeah. So you're saying there could be a placebo effect to pre-workout?
So you're saying there's a chance.
Yeah. But the reality is there probably is some sort of placebo effect. Like you said earlier, the tingles being now I'm ready to work out. If that's what you believe, then odds are it's working for you.
I mean,
right?
I mean, this is completely anecdotal, but like one of the things that would get me going, specifically like when I used to play like football or baseball, was like when you're standing and you're hearing the national anthem, like you see a lot of players start like shifting back and forth, like it's
getting into it. Yeah.
Which is funny because it's just I mean, it's not. It's the national anthem, which is like a weird thing to get you jacked up for a game. But it does.
Yeah. And if it works, then it works, right? Like that's the thing. It's like, well, there's no scientific evidence, but it's working, then do it, right? Then go for it. So, I guess something that does have more research and actual scientific proof behind it. Getting back to creatine.
Yeah, because it like you were saying, it creates ATP.
Yeah,
it uses the phosphocreatine that the how the creatine stores the high energy phosphate groups. I just said it 2 minutes ago.
Creatine
I don't know
phosphate.
why I'm forgetting it already, but it takes the ADP in the body with the phosphocreatine combined to make the ATP. So, which is why typically the same thing happens with that loading period, right? You were talking about with the beta-alanine, where it's like you take a large dose for like the first 14 days or so, and then just really just like so it's there for the body to pull from.
So there's two ways to load, right? You can, how you just said, you can take larger doses to kind of get that loading phase going, or you can do the same dose, just do it every single day. It'll just take a little longer.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying that like that's this is the way.
Yeah. And the reason for that is it doesn't work for all people, because the one downside of creatine in large doses, it can have pretty significant effects on stomach, kind of, for lack of a better term, diarrhea.
Yeah, you throw that in there with caffeine and it's a field day, huh?
Yeah.
Jesus.
So if you can't do larger doses in the beginning because you're having negative effects to it, again, just reduce the dosage. It'll just take a little bit more time, but you will get there. It is cumulative. That's the key there.
Well, I mean, and I think the whole point of this podcast is to go over overall health, longevity, and all that stuff. Not like getting jacked for the summer, which is 3 weeks away from today.
Yeah.
Ish.
So at this point, you're just looking at steroids. The only way to get there now.
Even steroids gonna cover you for 3 weeks. But you said, like you were saying, why don't you go ahead and take the wheel on the actual benefits that it does provide, because we were saying that unlike the other ones, there is concrete evidence of what creatine actually does for them.
Yeah, so obviously there's going to be a large increase in muscle creatine content, right? The amount of creatine stored, just supplementing creatine, that's kind of the idea behind it, which again is why it's cumulative stored. So if you take enough of it, you keep on storing it, so it increases your muscle creatine stores. The other thing is significant increases in power output. I think I just said increases, but significant increases in power output.
I don't always let it go, but I let that one go.
So, so this is again for that short burst. You're working, sets of 8 of your 10 rep max. You're going to be able to push a little bit harder than you typically would without it. So
it also, to a lesser extent, increases HGH, right?
Yeah. So this is the interesting thing with growth hormone. And I'm going to read this because I found this to be interesting. So there's a study done in it, and it showed that during exercise, creatine supplementation can suppress growth hormone secretion up to 35% during the loading phase and up to 5% during the maintenance phase. At rest, creatine supplementation can spike growth hormone by anywhere from 40 to 120%.
So it's doing the work during the recovery.
So that's pretty wild. So there's definitely an effect on growth hormone. Typically, it's seen post workout, not during the workout
or pre-workout.
Yeah, good one. It makes it, yeah. So, and by post workout, I mean not immediately after. It's typically like
Well, the whole catabolic window is another like myth. That
anabolic window. Catabolic windows are bad.
catabolic.
We want to keep those windows closed.
Wait, did I say catabolic window
Yeah.
or okay? What I meant to say was going catabolic.
Yes. We never want to.
We don't know.
No one wants to go
Going
catabolic.
catabolic.
Yeah.
So
that was the very interesting thing about growth hormone. Again, it's a big range, but it's still an increase. So whether you're on that low end of, and again, everybody's different, on that low end of 40%, or you could see tremendous growth, of 120% increase in growth hormone levels. That's pretty wild.
Okay.
Pretty big.
Other bonuses though, right? Like slight increases. I mean, not increases. Sorry. Decreases in cases of depression and fatigue.
Yes.
Minor increases anaerobic running capacity.
Yep.
Lean tissue, right?
Yeah.
Helps with that. Helps produce more testosterone, unlike the test boosters that are also no bueno. Increases alertness, even muscular endurance.
Yeah. Yeah. And
any other things that I'm doing?
there's did you just say the decrease? It can help decrease blood glucose.
Oh, and
muscle damage.
Yeah, no, I didn't mention that.
Okay.
Yeah, those are two other things.
Yeah, again, the last few we rattled off there, they're minor. Yeah,
you're not taking creatine for that. They just
you're taking
an additional
creatine.
benefit.
Yeah, you're taking creatine for the power output.
Power.
Yeah, but the one of the significant things was the decrease in depression, which was pretty cool too.
Yeah,
because if you're not feeling great about exercising, or if you're depressed, your workouts aren't going to be great.
So decreasing depression will give you more of a motivation to go. All right. Well, I mean,
and just real quick, that whole thing about increasing the alertness. You're going to see also when reading the labels, and we're just covering 4 of the major ingredients in pre-workouts, but there are a lot of ingredients that vary, and you're going to see that focus on alertness and focus.
we just wanted to cover like these are the 4 big ones.
Yeah, these are the ones you want to see in your pre-workout supplement if you're choosing to use a pre-workout supplement.
Yeah. No, but with that being said, I think we should get into some of the
caffeine,
which I clearly need.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
yeah, I don't think we need to go super in depth on caffeine. I think people pretty much understand caffeine. Coffee drinkers out there, they know the boost in you get in energy, alertness, all that. Typical dosing for caffeine, you want to be in the 3 to 6 milligrams per kilogram of body weight.
Here we go again.
Yeah. So, realistically, it varies. And the thing with caffeine is habitual use of caffeine leads to a tolerance to caffeine.
Yeah. So obviously, with that range that you gave, that's without taking regard of tolerance, because if you're tolerant, that same dosage that we're saying, right? It was 3 to 6 per grams per kilogram.
36 milligrams per kilogram.
Yes. That's not going to do it for you. So you're going to have to take
more.
Correct.
Yeah. And that's the thing. Now, I'm sure I'm like most of the people out there who drink coffee daily. I drink coffee daily. So the pre-workout amount of caffeine is going to be affected by what my tolerance to my daily caffeine intake already is. So, for instance, if I'm typically getting 250 milligrams of caffeine a day as my habitual caffeine intake, and I take a pre-workout with 250 milligrams of caffeine, the energy I'm getting from it would be the same as my daily caffeine intake, which for me, that's not that much anymore, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because it's been so long. Like I don't have the
But
same.
I find people taking pre-workout, typically, uh, typically are also taking coffee, right? Like that's not a, oh, now I'm just gonna stop drinking coffee because I'm taking pre-workouts.
No, but it's like, so here's the thing. I guess it depends when you're working out, right? If you start every morning with 2 cups of coffee,
Uh-huh.
and so that's roughly 200 milligrams of caffeine, right? A standard 8-ounce cup of coffee has 95 milligrams of caffeine.
Mm-hmm.
So let's just round it up to 100 to make it easy. So if every morning I'm getting 200 milligrams of caffeine,
Mm-hmm.
it gives me that little boost I need in the morning just to get going.
Mm-hmm.
But if I work out at night and I take my pre-workout that has 200 milligrams of caffeine, the only boost I'm getting is that same boost I'm getting from the 200 milligrams of caffeine.
Oh yeah, yeah. No,
right.
no, I get that.
There's nothing above and beyond.
I get that, but there's a wide range of people, right? There are people that have coffee in the morning and then go to the gym and then take pre-workout.
Yeah.
In which case, it's not the same because it is additional.
Yeah. You're just doubling your dose of caffeine.
Yeah.
So when people who do that are like, wow, this pre-workout really works, it gives me so much energy, it's like, because you have 600 milligrams of caffeine running through your veins right now.
Yeah.
You know? So
you have blood running through your caffeine system.
Yeah.
No. All right. So those are the 4. Right?
Yeah.
Like with caffeine, obviously being a lot more of a wide range and a lot more dependent on individual than the other 3.
Yeah. So actually, real quick though, I did want to talk about, how often should you take pre-workout supplement?
Okay.
And typically, you would use it before every workout.
Mm-hmm.
Hence the term pre-workout. So the problem is the main reason anybody takes a pre-workout supplement is for the caffeine. It's for that energy boost.
Mm-hmm. And
you
the tingles.
If you work out after work, you've gone your whole day, you need that little pick-me-up to get going, so you take pre-workout. If you're doing that before every single workout, again, because of the tolerance you build up to that caffeine, the only way to keep on getting that boost is to increase the amount of caffeine, increase the amount of pre-workout you're taking.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so here's like the kind of catch-22, right? With all these ingredients in pre-workout, the most effective way to use pre-workout is to use it when you really need it. Those days where you need that boost to get going, right? Because it'll lower the tolerance for the caffeine. If you're taking it every day, you gain the tolerance. If you take it once or twice a week, you stretch out the tolerance a lot longer. However, beta-alanine and creatine need to compound in the blood, so you need more of it. You need the daily dose of it.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the catch-22 with pre-workouts, which is why I'm not a huge fan of pre-workouts, because I need beta-alanine daily. I need creatine daily. I can't take my pre-workout daily because then I don't get the energy boost from it.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, that's why when I go to workout, I just have a cup or 2 of coffee on the way.
Yeah. If you're already supplementing
if
the other stuff.
If I'm zapped. Otherwise, whatever. I'm just going to the gym, whatever.
Yeah.
And then, actually, you know what? Before we go over those few, I just want to get one thing off my chest. Do not dry scoop your pre-workouts. The actually, even the intended reason why people do it is because they think it's going to get into their system quicker, which is like we were talking about with the citrulline before and the arginine, right? Arginine, where the citrulline breaks down into the components of arginine. I'm sorry. I'm phrasing that incorrectly, right?
Citrulline builds up the precursors to create arginine,
Yeah.
which is more effective than taking arginine itself.
Correct.
Yeah.
So, adding it with the water is helping it to act quicker,
Correct.
not taking it dry.
So
even the like, it's you're putting a powder in your mouth, and you might go down the wrong pipe. You cough all over the place, and it doesn't do the thing you think it does. It's nothing more than just like another social media like thing.
Look, I have no problem if people want to do it for the sake of just doing it. Okay, don't think you're getting this added benefit by doing like you just mentioned. One for typical nitric oxide boosters, they're activated with water. Right?
Okay.
So by skipping the water, you're relying on the water in your body to then bind with it and then create.
And then you have the people that the dry scoop and then put water in their mouth and slush it around. It's like, why don't you
just add it to the water?
Just add it to the water.
It's weird, and it's funny because as a trend, I feel like when you watch the faces of some of the people doing it, like they look miserable.
Because it's gross.
So I'm just like, why do it to be
people
good?
Try to make it taste better.
Yeah, I mean, these companies take these ingredients that, in and of themselves, taste terrible, and they add these flavors to them. They work hard to actually create these flavor profiles that they think people will like, and you're just gonna throw the powder down your gullet and get to work. What you were saying is, which is interesting, is that the only way to change the increase in effectiveness speed would be to change how you're taking it. So just because you're dry, you're still taking it orally, whether you're dry scooping it or adding it to the recommended amount of water, still taking it orally. Nothing has changed. If you really wanted to see a change, it would be like a difference between taking something orally and taking something injectable, right? That would be two different modes of getting it into the body. Therefore, they have two different effects. It doesn't matter if you add it to water, milk, nothing.
It's still got to.
You still got to drink it
first.
Yeah, you still got to drink it.
And it has to be activated with water.
Yeah. So it's a useless trend that, like I said, people look miserable doing it anyway. Just stop. Add it to water.
All right. So I think let's just close this thing out then. We'll put up some of the labels from the three. We're going to cover. Now this isn't attacking the companies at all.
No,
whatever.
No.
This is just with the knowledge that we have and the knowledge that they have on their ingredient list, going over if we think they're good or whatever.
Yeah.
These three being C4, Redcon 1, right?
Total War. Their names are
That's
fantastic.
how you know it's good.
Yeah.
That's how you know it's good.
I do give them credit for having these great names.
Optimum Nutrition has their own pre-workout, which is
not optimal.
It's just GNC. It's just a GNC brand name. So like, when you see the gold standard whey, that's from Optimum Nutrition too.
Yeah, correct.
But how do you want to cover this? You want to cover it up by product or by?
I think we should go by product. I like going.
Okay.
We'll go over each product individually and then go to the next one. I think that's
so. Let's start with C4. Caffeine involved in C4. 150 milligrams.
Correct.
Which is a cup and a half of coffee.
Yes. Underdosed.
Beta-alanine.
1.6
grams.
Underdosed.
Citrulline.
They don't use it. They use arginine, which we went over. Actually, not as effective as using citrulline or citrulline malate.
Also underdosed. Okay. Creatine. 1 gram.
Severely underdosed.
All right, Joe. Take us to another one.
So, just to point out, so the three that we chose, we actually are going off of, at the time, the top 3 sellers
Oh yeah, no, I'm sorry for
From Amazon.
we didn't just randomly pick these.
Yeah.
These are
So
actually.
these were the top 3 sellers on Amazon at the time that we looked. The fact that C4 was number 1, and now knowing this and going over the ingredients, this is mind blowing. Like it's
Well,
absolutely
I would say
mind-boggling.
C4 and Optimum Nutrition probably just I don't want to say suffer because they want to sell, but they suffer from just people know it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? Some pre-workouts come and go. The popularity comes and goes. Some just have staying power.
Yeah.
Right? Like Jack 3D was one like over a decade ago that had to be recalled and reformulated.
NO Explode.
NO Explodes
I think
another one.
I think they still make that though.
They make Jack 3D also too, but they yeah, well FDA regulations in supplements are a whole nother conversation.
Non-existent.
But yeah. Just tell us when there's problems, then we'll look into it. Yeah. Let's just get back onto Optimum. Let's go Redcon 1.
So yeah, with that being said, Redcon 1 I found was actually a decent pre-workout supplement.
For what? Okay.
Right.
What?
320 milligrams of caffeine.
That's a lot.
Significant.
I mean, but if you have resistance or tolerance to it, that's
Again, now if you typically start your day with 200 milligrams of coffee, right? Now you're getting 320 milligrams. You're getting like a little bit extra boost for your workout. Beta-alanine, 3.2 grams. It's like a mid-range. Yeah, it's decent.
What were you saying? 3.6 before, between the 2.4 and the 4.8.
You want to see 3.6. It's probably better. 6 grams of citrulline, which again falls into that like low end of the good range.
Yeah.
And it didn't actually have creatine in it. But with that being said, I think the general public, should actually be supplementing creatine.
Yeah.
Regardless.
As far I'll say it. I think you should be just supplementing. Period. It's cheap. It's easy. It's
the benefits to it. First of all, again, aside from the half joke earlier about having diarrhea from a loading phase of it, the benefits just far outweigh the negatives. Far outweigh, and especially for there have been studies done on the elderly populations and how great it is for bone density for them. It's just a supplement that we should be taking. So just because Redcon 1 Total War doesn't have it, if you're taking it anyway, then you're getting.
Thanks for making sure you drop Total War. So
yeah, like I said, I love these names.
Total War.
They're great. Optimum Nutrition's lacking with that weak name.
Yeah, so let's just hop into that.
It's actually lacking
in mostly everything. 1.75. No.
175 milligrams.
175 milligrams.
Caffeine.
Low end, depending on the dosage, but probably on the low end.
Yeah. That's like that's very literally just about 2 cups of coffee is
180.
190, right?
95.
But it's 190. So yeah, it's a decent amount, but
the person who's probably going to be taking it probably has more caffeine than that.
So again, in all honesty, and I'm sure I'm not the only one, 16 ounces of coffee is nothing for me during the day. I'm probably close to like the 24 ounces realistically on a daily basis. So
so you're looking for a Total War.
I'm looking for Total War.
Beta-alanine, 1.5 grams.
And less than half of what we need. Yeah.
Citrulline, not even a gram.
Not even. That's disappointing.
Creatine, 3 grams.
3 grams. At least they're trying with the creatine.
Try harder? I don't know. I mean, you're looking like a double dose of Optimum Nutrition is probably closest to everything.
Yeah.
Right? That would get you 350 milligrams of caffeine, though.
Yeah.
Which is on the higher end of things.
It's on the high
end.
Give you a boost.
But that would put you at 3 grams for beta-alanine. Low end, but creeping up.
Yeah. Still low on the citrulline, though. So, I mean.
It's
And again, like, so on the Optimum Nutrition label, like, the citrulline was in one of their matrices that they had, right? Like the energy matrix, whatever it's called. I don't know. They always use they coin these stupid terms for it. But so because that in and of itself tells you it's going to be underdosed, it has to, right? Because there's only 2 grams of this matrix, and this matrix is made up of 5 ingredients.
Yeah.
So,
well, I mean, look, the whole thing is, in my opinion, without attacking any company specifically, they all want to do it, right? They all want to have you buy the pre-workout, the intra-workout, the post-workout. And when you do all of those things with the same brand, I mean, I have to look at them side by side, but I think, like, if you were to take all these stacks, you would get it. But it's a lot of them, when you add all the stuff together, it's like $200 a month.
Yeah.
When you can just get beta-alanine and creatine and caffeine all on their own individually, for a lot cheaper,
and have the same effects. Absolutely. And I get it. Right now, I know in the supplement market, the price of the raw ingredients is going up. So you're seeing an increase in the cost of supplements as a whole, particularly pre-workouts, because they are so popular and ingredient dependent. They typically have so many different ingredients, and the cost of those ingredients is going up. So the cost to the consumer is going up. But you kind of just hit the nail on the head. In summary, do you need to take a pre-workout? The answer is no.
Yeah.
Right?
It might help you, it might not. That's a personal decision.
It's about, you should be supplementing creatine regardless. Right? So you don't need to be getting that from your pre-workout. A cup of coffee is a lot cheaper than pre-workout supplement.
That's individually based. Some people don't need it.
Yeah, and you don't need it. Having a well-balanced nutrition plan, you're going to get the amino acids necessary from your diet, the L-histidines, the arginines, the citrulines, right? And most of those are made in the body anyway. So, so sleep, right? You're getting a proper amount of rest. If you're, not to generalize or stereotype, but if you're 25-year-old guy, or girl,
you need less sleep.
25-year-old guy.
When you're in the prime of your life, you need less sleep than you do.
But if you're getting 7 to 9 hours of sleep,
your workouts are going to be a lot better.
Yeah,
like you can do it on less sleep just because you're younger, but like think about how much better they would be if you.
Do you need that added boost? Or are you doing it because the workouts make my workouts better because you believe that they do?
And the tingles.
And the tingles, of course. But so, is there some kind of placebo effect when talking about pre-workouts? I think so. I think absolutely there is. If you believe something works.
Well, no one wants to take a pre-workout and be like, you know what, that one sucked.
Yeah. Yeah.
My heart's pounding, and it sucks.
Yeah. So, I guess my whole thing is, if you want to take it, take it. Read the labels. It's super important. Make sure the dosing that you're getting for the main ingredients that you really want to focus on are there. If they're not, don't even bother with it. Honestly, if you're not getting any tingling sensation from your pre-workout, don't buy it. It's not a good pre-workout. Because if you're not getting any kind of beta-alanine response, there's no beta-alanine in it. Again,
what are we doing?
What are you taking? What are you taking it for? You're taking it for the caffeine. Just drink a cup of coffee. You'll be fine.
So in summary, take the information we gave you. Make your own decisions based on that. What works for you?
Read labels.
Yeah. And until next time, make sure you're working out just as smart as you are hard. Catch you guys later.